How did you decide to tackle Breakdown by Prince, the Breakdown, which is one of the later albums that he had? I mean, the falsetto really in fine form for you there.
I'm going to say something that's going to, probably, get under some Prince people's head. But, I was out of the, after the first 4 Prince records, I was finding more and more, and I was like, okay, I like these 3 songs on this album and these 4 songs on that album, this 1 song on that. So when that record came along, there's some cool stuff on there, but the one that stood out, I was like, this reminds me of the early Prince stuff. This reminds me of, Do Me Baby, that whole Prince slow jam, Scandalous. It had something about it that reminded me of when I first fell in love with Prince's music. So when we cover Prince stuff, sometimes we play with bands that are tribute bands. So we don't want to do the same stuff that everybody else is doing. We're not going to touch Purple Rain. We're not going to touch any of that stuff like that. So we kind of dig in the crates a little bit, and that's one of the songs that stood out. I was like, man, we should do this song, and everybody was like, heck yeah, we love that song.
Did you see him do in Montreux the version?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did. Yeah, the festival, right?
Yeah. That's
yeah,
great.
yeah.
Like 3 nights. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, they were saying like, the fans. Well, of course, Prince fans, very intense. But they were saying, was he crying? Was he wiping sweat? All this.
Right. Probably a little both.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and then the lyrics are pretty deep in that one too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was. You were mentioning with being on the same bill with some Prince tribute bands. I think I read a comment. They must have been a big supporter of the Prince tribute bands and saying, I don't know if you saw it. They said, "How could you play Prince songs with your band when we're the band or they're the band?" Did you ever see this song like that?
No. I don't get in the comments that much. I'll get people that'll shoot me a text or whatever, and then maybe some of my bandmates or something will read something, if it's really cool or whatever like that. But like, everybody got their opinion when it comes to even Prince had wasn't a big fan of people covering his music, whether that be live or on record. So you're gonna hear a lot of different
Yeah, they were really negative against you guys playing. It was just like they were defending the other band for some reason,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So Blue Tears, the EP contains 6 songs, right?
6 songs, yeah.
Yeah, and where's the best spot that people can purchase it?
Amazon Music and Apple Music, but it's on Tidal. It's on any of the other stuff. So if you got all that, it's all the major platforms it's on.
Okay,
cool. But those are the 2 I use. Those are the 2 that I usually send people to.
Right, and that's Shaun Bivens' band, the Blackstone Funk Revival, which the previous album, Funk Shui, man, you got some good titles. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
50 Shades of Funk. You got another great video on there for
yeah. That was a fun video to shoot right there.
Let's talk about affiliation with the Prince and the Revolution, and Dr. Matt Fink contributes.
Yes.
It's Live in Love.
Life and Love, the remix version. Yeah.
Okay. How'd you get affiliated with Doc?
Well, my drummer was doing a show with Matt Fink, and I forget who. I think it was most of the Revolution. And my old friend and bass player John Payne was jamming with the Revolution there for a while. So he called my drummer and had him come in, and I guess him and Matt Fink became like good buddies, and they talk and they text or whatever ever since then. And that must have been probably I don't know, maybe 15 years ago, but they've kept in touch. But when we got the Blackstone Funk Revival off the ground, we had this song, the Life and Love song, and it had a guitar solo in it. And I was like, guitar solo is cool. We got a lot of guitar, but what would be really cool if we had, Dr. Fink on here. And I was just kind of mentioned it in passing to my Tony Providence, my drummer. And he was like, you know what? I'm going to send it to him. I'm like, oh, that's right. Dude. So he sent them the song, and literally like 2 days later, we had this, insane shredding going on. I mean, it was it was a long piece of music, but
Mhm.
you know, he was like chop it up, you know, and make it fit, and man, it came out perfect.
Yeah, really nice guy. He's got Starview Studios in his home, like still creating over there. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, it sounded great, man. We were very stoked. You know, like my 16-year-old self was just like jumping around like a kid, listening to it. You know, in the studio mixing it. You know,
Yeah. Talk about, those young years. When did you first start falling in love with the Minneapolis sound? Do you remember?
I'm gonna say about 12, 11 or 12.
Okay.
My cousin Vicky Hurd, when I was living in East Oakland on 42nd Street, and I think she had the For You album, and
Mhm.
then the Prince album. But when for me, I liked Soft and Wet, and I like songs like, some child Bambi, because I started playing metal and punk first. So when I
Right.
heard Bambi, I was like, oh, this dude's the truth, right? But
Right.
when Dirty Mind came out, it was over for me, because I'm a big fan of everything that sound really encompassed. Controversy and Dirty Mind. I go back and forth between those records, which is my favorite. So
Mhm.
you had the synth pop thing going on there. You had elements of that in there. You had very heavy funk presence, and a rock presence, and then you had this beautiful falsetto and screaming going on with the rock. So all of it was like, for those records, I mean, like, that's when as a musician, I was just like, man, this is insane. He's got it all covered.
Yeah, I think my first single from Prince was Uptown I bought. So and
Love
then
that song.
I got Controversy for Christmas gift from my mom, and I started playing it with the door closed, and the Lord's Prayer came in, and she was like a really devout Catholic. I get the
Right.
knock on the door. She's like, "What's
Uh-huh.
going on in here?"
It's just like, are you finally converting, Frank? Thank the Lord.
I didn't show her the crucifix in the shower scene on the pull-up
Right. You're
poster.
like, no. Yeah.